the mission to keep as many men on as many guns for as long as possible. We called him Doc. Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. And now your host, Aaron Chief Seabird.
Way like the sunbathing goodbyes. Hey, welcome to Combat Vet Vision. Hey, this is a place where combat vets get to come tell their story, as well as me. Just talking about issues, situations, things that are going on, how to better navigate the system as we know it. Whatever that might look like, whether it's your own system or something that you're plugged into or trying to navigate. But hey, I got a lot of sponsor supporters that come on here and tell their story. This is also to educate the public, to give them some insight as to what combat vets are might be dealing with, how they're dealing with transition, what they're doing in their lives to better them and help out others. This is a lot of times there's a lot of helpful situations out there, and the nonprofits that exist, so they get to tell their story as well. There's a lot of different information. Hey, and today I got Clayton Frech on deck. He is going to be talking about Angel City Sports. Totally really cool thing. This is adaptive sports for not only combat vets, not only amputees from combat, but all walks of life in the civilian world, dealing with situations of injuries and situations. We talked a little bit about it too, to include PTSD and a lot of other things that in itself helps deal with and helps provide some support to too. So hey Clayton, welcome to the show. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, man. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, a lot of the reasons why you're inspired. It's all in the show notes too. There's some information about you, and then you can definitely look at what's definitely important there too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, it's just an honor to be on the show. Really grateful for you, Aaron, and for all that you do for the veteran community. I think we play a little small part, but hopefully an important part in supporting this incredible community. So my journey, I would have never ever imagined a career in sports or really disability at all. I have an MBA, was climbing the corporate ladder. I worked in the government, intern in the White House, Bush Senior Administration. I worked in the Environmental Protection Agency. So I kind of have a couple prior careers. But in 2005, my life changed dramatically, honestly, for the better. But my eldest son, Ezra, who's now on the U.S. Paralympic track team, joined the team actually at 14 years of age, went to Tokyo at 16. But he was born an amputee. So we'll call him a congenital in kind of the adaptive sports world. And, sort of following his journey and supporting him in living an active life, kind of stumbled onto the adaptive sports community. But I will tell you, when he was born, I sort of went through a little bit of a depression. So I always imagined that being a good dad was about being outside and active and playing sports and, hiking, sailing, skiing, whatever, going to the beach with your children. And when Ezra was born, I thought that wasn't on the table anymore. And it sounds silly now when I look back, but I got really depressed thinking I wouldn't be able to surf with him, which is kind of one of my main passions. Grew up in Santa Barbara. I could walk to the beach, through the fields to catch some waves. And I thought that had been taken away from me. I thought my ability to be a good dad had been taken away from me. So, I stumbled into this incredible community when he was about 5 months old. Attended our first events, actually at the Challenge Athletes Foundation, who's now an important partner of ours. And I kind of just fell in love with this community, and I made it a mission to become an expert in everything possible around adaptive sports. And really, initially, Aaron, it was to support Ezra's journey, to make sure he knew what was out there for him. So, but along the way, I realized that from a programming standpoint, we didn't have enough programming out there for this community. And so about 10 years ago, founded Angel City Sports. Initially just hosted a competition, the Angel City Games, which is open to civilians and veterans. and got that off the ground in 2015. And since then, we've been kind of building brick by brick, and it's sort of now led us to take some of our expertise and do our part to support the veteran, active duty, and first responder community.
Right, and that's an important thing, and this is something that happens all the time, though. This isn't just a once it's not a picnic, once a year. This is an all year round process for disabled veterans or disabled people in general, civilians, to take part and get involved in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we started in 2015, we just did one event. We did the Angel City Games, but since then we've been adding programming. So there's seasonal and year-round programming. So any particular month, there's 2 to 5 different clinics offered on the weekend. So we're doing, last year we did 21 sports and almost 150 clinics. And so the scale of what we're doing is pretty incredible. And the veteran community is welcome to join us pretty much at anything we do. We do have a couple programs that are very specific to vets. We have an air rifle program hosted at the Compton Hunting and Fishing Club. So we do air rifle year round. And then we have a wheelchair football team that is, has a bunch of vets, and it was designed for the veteran community. And so we are champions. 2 years ago, we lost in the championship last year, but we're gonna reclaim that wheelchair football championship this year. But yeah. So, and we will continue to add programming. Like archery is another one that I think will definitely target the vet community. So yeah. So we are doing year-round programming across Southern California, primarily in LA County right now. But yeah, we're really honored to serve, and vets have come to our events, especially the Angel City Games, since the beginning. Really, they found us, and hopefully we grow numbers over time.
Exactly. Hey, and talk about some of these nonprofit organizations that are on deck to help you out with this. I mean, there's a lot of them. We discussed it a little while ago, and talk about why that's super important and what they're actually providing.
Yeah, so we have kind of a few different levels of support. So we are always looking for corporate sponsors to support what we do. But for the Courage Weekend, specifically, Fox Sports is sort of the biggest partner engaged with us, and they're going to come out and film and do some interviews with athletes. And then I've got a bunch of kind of in-kind partners, like the Challenge Athletes, Operation Rebound, Wounded Warrior Project, Fisher House, Underwater Torpedo League is coming out on a Saturday, if you've heard of them. So we've kind of we're hoping that all these different veteran service orgs see us as a pretty neutral partner, and we can kind of bring as many resources in as possible. In case people need a specific, if you need a guide dog, or you need a house, or you need assistance in navigating disability benefits, we hope that we can kind of aggregate as many of these orgs as possible. So PVA, DAV, we're partnered and kind of connected to the VAs across LA. So we're really kind of hoping that everybody jumps in with us. We had about 20 different nonprofits at the Courage Weekend last year, so we're hoping to grow that this year. And it's it brings a lot to the event, to sort of have these community partners. And there are a lot of great organizations, some small and some very, very big, much bigger than us. But we hope that they all feel welcome to be a part of this weekend. And what's special about the Courage Weekend, Aaron, is, we're adding in first responders who I think have a lot in common with the vet community, and they don't always get the attention in the adaptive sports community. And so that's kind of a special wrinkle for us. And I think that both communities coming together will get a lot out of it.
Yeah, that's an important part, and then doing a lot of the stuff that I do with the PTSD Foundation of America. We also do the first responders as well. try to encourage a first responders group and whatnot like that. We do have some of that going on, and it's super awesome. We have a book directly for the first responders, and we really work that. Hey, before we go to our next part, and we'll bring up and that the you talked about all these partners, and even if the VA wants to get involved, they definitely can. But I have a PSA from the VA. Brian, if you're there, let's go ahead and run that now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some other things. So appreciate you.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you're having a tough time or thinking about suicide, you're not alone, and there's hope. VA's Veterans Crisis Line is full of responders who listen and help. Many are veterans or have veteran family members and friends, so they're prepared to address your challenges. After calling, you'll be connected to the next available crisis line responder. That person may ask, "Are you thinking of suicide?" Or "What plan can we put in place to keep you safe today?" If you choose, the responder will share your name and personal information with your local VA suicide prevention coordinator, who'll connect you to local VA assistance and resources. Don't wait. Dial 988, then press 1.
Hey, great stuff. Hey, we're back with Clayton, Frech, and with Angel City Sports, and we're going to talk about Courage Weekend. And I know if you go on the site, you can see their monthly schedule of these events, and it's a huge amount of interactive sports, adaptive sports for amputees to people that might be blind, to all kinds of different situations. So please pay attention to that. And this Courage Weekend is really going to be important. And there's one other aspect of it that you and I talked about before this, and it was most of these guys or gals have amputees or issues. They're all going to have dealt with some trauma, and in that trauma, when you talk about mind, health, and wellness, that saturation from hanging out together and working on a project and being part of a team and being in this athletic program, it's going to bring a lot of special help and support to the PTSD side of things. And PTSD is one thing. I know we isolate it to specific aspects of combat vets versus any other subjects or those things, but saturation through this sports adaptive stuff is very important. And you talked about it. There's spaces available for those veterans or those individuals that may just have PTSD. And if you could touch bases on that, and then we'll get into this Courage Weekend, because it's such an important part of what you guys are doing. And it's really going to be a really cool thing.
Yeah. So, the bulk of our experiences in the broader disability community. And what we've learned is, the vast majority of our target athletes, right, living with a physical disability, including visual impairment, blindness, have suffered trauma, and even a congenital like my son, there's almost like micro traumas of society sort of counting you out, right? Thinking that you're not as able or capable as others. So there's already kind of a lot of trauma in our community. And, while we do adaptive sports, we're not trying to position ourselves as a mental health provider primarily. We do feel and see the mental health benefits of just community, of bringing everybody together, of not being the only one with a disability at your church or on your street or whatever. And so, as I like to say, the community kind of heals itself. And so we're just that sort of aggregator, right? We're bringing everybody together. And, most of our experience has been actually combining kids, adults, and veterans, right, with disabilities. And I always say this, it's like a circle of inspiration. So everybody loves the vets and active duty, first responders, we just all are so grateful for their service. And then good for our kids, adults, and vets performing and living life in a active, fulfilling manner. And then everyone's inspired by the little kids that sort of don't know any different. So for Courage Weekend, we're kind of focused just on the vets and active duty and first responders. But I think that same sort of frameworks apply, which is, will the community will heal itself, will take care of each other, and everyone will feel like they're part of something, at least for a weekend. I like to talk about, as a parent, my wife and I's job with these children is to make sure their confidence, right, their self-love, self-acceptance is as high as possible, that their souls are full so they can attack life and, go after their dreams. And society sort of knocks you down over time. And so as parents, it's our job. Okay, how do you boost that child up? And I think, courage could be, one of those moments for this community. If you're sort of feeling depleted and you're kind of, feeling like you're feeling that sense of loneliness, whatever, that this is going to be a place where you're going to really feel part of something. And, it's only our second year, Aaron. And we're kind of still growing this event. And, but we definitely, saw that last year where, and we had some young vets, we had, some of the Vietnam era, vets, kind of everybody in together, but it worked. And so we're just, hopeful that we'll keep growing and, supporting this community in our own way. Again, not putting ourselves out there as a, mental health provider, but we know there's mental health benefits. And, the other thing that's unique about the Courage Week, and I know you're going to ask me some more specific questions, but, if you have a diagnosed physical disability, that's okay. Come on out or come out with your buddy that might have one or whatever. We're really, being pretty inclusive in terms of who can attend and be a part of the weekend. And so we're not really trying to put any restrictions on participation. We are going to do sports designed for people with disabilities, but everyone's welcome to jump in and be a part of it.
And what do you say to the veteran that's hey, I haven't done anything for a long time. I'm just sitting here in my wheelchair and I'm just, I don't think I'm really wanting to be an athlete. But I haven't worked out. I haven't done anything. And I'm really kind of, like you said, they're in that lonely stage. They're kind of, where do they get to come out and participate in this? What do you see for that? And talk about that. It's going to be
that's such a good question. So, we've designed the weekends mostly around clinics where people can kind of learn or kind of, sharpen their skills in a different sport. And so our assumption is we're going to have people that have maybe not done sports or not done any sports in a long time or not done sports since they've acquired their disability. So we're prepared to catch anyone that might be new to adaptive sports or new to disability or kind of getting themselves back out right into society. So lots of opportunity both days of Courage Weekend to kind of learn. And there's 13 different sports, so each day will have an incredible array of sports. So if you have a spinal cord injury and you're seated, or you're ambulatory, amputee, or otherwise, or blind or visually impaired, we got options for you. We do have a handful of sports that will be competitive as well, which are track, swimming, wheelchair basketball, and golf. The golf's going to be really mellow, par 3 course, but it'll be a really fun day out on course. So you can kind of pick the path. If you want to put yourself out there and compete, we'd love to have you do that. But if you just want to come out and, kind of learn and even have a bunch of low impact sports as well, table tennis and wheelchair fencing and disc golf and, so definitely some low impact stuff out there too, for those that maybe aren't hitting the gym too hard.
Yeah, no, that's super important. And give those dates again. What are the date for this?
Yeah, so it's a 2-day weekend, October 14th and 15th. It's going to be held at a really important partner of ours, the Harvard Westlake School in Studio City here in Los Angeles. And that Saturday night, we're hosting a kind of a little evening get-together called our Evening of Courage, where we're honoring Marine Corps veteran Sarah Rudder with our Courage Award. So that'll be a really special evening, kind of following the sport program, kind of slide right into the Evening of Courage. So it's going to be a pretty fun-filled 13 sport weekend here in Los Angeles. And the partners that I mentioned, Aaron, also, they've offered travel support. So Wounded Warrior Project for any alums, and then also the Challenge Athletes will help with travel funding. And then we've got some, we can get flights booked through Fisher House too. So we're really excited by those partnerships to help everyone get to LA.
That's outstanding. And I will say, Wounded Warrior Project is getting involved with the sports support in a lot of different ways. Dynamic Fitness, who I had on here as well on my podcast, they actually pay for guys in Temecula area to go into the Dynamic Fitness. And what's cool about Dynamic Fitness is like it has a trainer that's training with you as a, somebody who maybe needs that adaptive catering to maybe your injuries. And so these things become super cool. And so they're actually paying for that process. And so if you're a veteran, you want to participate in that, that's just another aspect that comes out of it. So, and you and I spent some time talking about why it's so important for all these communities to have a spot where they can kind of come together and collaborate on a lot of things. You talked about, it's not only the sports piece, but it's also, are we getting this guy maybe housing, the benefits, some of these other things, and you want these other organizations to kind of come to you as a neutral entity, because sometimes the politics in nonprofit world can be really affected in a lot of ways. And you and I spoke about, just talk about politics within the community of Wounded Warrior Battalion West, for instance. And you knew about this when we had this great connection. And we were doing a lot of stuff for Paralympics and doing some really good hand-to-hand, talking and this and that. That kind of went to the wayside only because the bureaucracy kind of came down and said, hey, we can't do that because certain things were being exploited, and the military can't endorse any one organization. And it became kind of this whole thing that kind of put the brakes on a lot of the systems that were in place. And it seems like those relationships broke down. So it's up to, and I like how you put it when we were talking, it's up to you and me, because we have the connections to certain vets and certain communities, that we put this really cool thing together, and we just try to give the opportunity the best shot it can have. So that's something I really enjoyed talking to you about. So if you can maybe throw your side on that.
Yeah, so here's, what we, in our normal programming, mostly like the Angel City Games, we're trying to actually aggregate partners and other nonprofits that are more in the adaptive sports space, just for athletes to be able to navigate where, what's the next step, and bring a lot of Paralympians in to mentor and stuff. So that's still a piece of this. And we'll have a number of veteran orgs that are doing adaptive sports. But I think this is really an opportunity that's much, much beyond sport. From my standpoint, our perspective, the nonprofit landscape that's supporting the veterans is really complicated. Like, there's so many organizations out there, big and small and everything in between. And so if we could be sort of again, kind of a neutral party, a Switzerland of sorts, that is welcoming of all the orgs, big and small, and everybody in between, to sort of, show the community what are they offering, and provide the guidance. That's where I think we can add a lot of value. And I got to say, we kind of have to do this whole thing on the first responder side too. I think we've been a little more focused on the vet side. I think, the vets are a little more organized than the first responder side. But I think a similar opportunity probably exists. You think about retired firefighters, right? How many of those guys are on disability, and how do we make sure they feel right? Like, what orgs are out there to support them? It's just the state of our, country, the way we do things. We leave a lot to the nonprofit sector, right? Like, a lot of kind of critical functions we sort of punt over to the nonprofit sector, including physical activity if you're disabled. But I think this is, to me, this is a beautiful part of the Courage Weekend of kind of opening up to orgs that are helping with career, or, health and wellness beyond sport, or mental health, or housing, or service dogs, or kind of anything anyone needs. So listen, I think over time we could really almost become kind of an expo, right? Where everyone can kind of jump in and learn about different orgs and find that connection, right? Because if you don't have a good connection to a nonprofit, it's not going to work, right? And so I think creating a place where all the orgs can kind of come together and make their pitch and make those connections. I mean, I learned a lot about you, Aaron, earlier today, and just the orgs that you're involved in, which sound amazing. But probably there's folks out there that don't even know what you're doing. So, right, how do we kind of make sure everyone knows what's going on and what the opportunities out there? Kind of, just like that. I think we have to play at a higher level when it comes to this community and be above the fray, above the politics, right? And really be welcoming of DOD and the VA and the nonprofits, and big and small.
Right. And speaking of Expo, this weekend that you have set up, you're obviously going to have some booths set up there. It's going to be like an expo. How do they get involved? How do these booths get involved? How do, talk about, if they want to get, if they want to come down and set up a booth, who do they need to talk to? All that good stuff. Just give the quick little thing on that.
Yeah. Information's on the website at the angelcitysports.org/courage-weekend. But people can reach out to our staffs, message us on social media. My email is Clayton@angelcitysports.org. But yeah, we're all here for any nonprofit partners that want to jump in with us, or even any companies that we're trying to also, it may not fully work out this year, but over time, make sure companies that want to hire vets, right, are here and offering those opportunities as well. So yeah, it's really kind of definitely, we're calling it our Valor Village, but like we want that expo energy to be a part and really adjacent to all the sports that are happening throughout the day. I lost you.
From Gray Star.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't hear that.
I got to give a shout out to Bridget Baker Snyder for putting us together, because she's a Gray Star, and Gray Star's a big sponsor of the PTSD Foundation of America. Does an incredible job of that. And she put us together because she thought this whole idea was incredible and linked you and I together to make this happen. So I think that's an awesome way. She's putting herself in this world.
Right? Like, what a connector.
What a connector, exactly. So, hey, anything else you want to say about all this stuff, please do. And any last words, and we'll, you can put, any way that people can get a hold of you. I know you've put it out there already, and they can do it through me. They can do it through my show notes. You can see that. Also in the show notes is the link to this. And don't forget Angel City Sports. You can just type that in. And it'll pop up too, but Angel City Sports /Courage Weekend. Look at that too. That's really the important part, and that's the 14th and the 15th of October. So feel free to throw anything else out there that you want to.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is, when I think about this community, first of all, it's really important to me. I did not serve, but my dad served in the Army Public Health Service during grad school. My stepdad was a naval aviator in the early 60s. One of my grandfathers served in World War II on the USS Oglala in the Pacific Theater. My other grandfather, he was a carpenter and built ships and planes. During World War II, so kind of have like a lot of roots there. And as I've sort of wound my way through the adaptive sports community, I think there's a lot more that the adaptive sports sort of industry can do for the veteran side of things. Recently, I mentioned Aaron earlier in the day when we were chatting, but we lost the Valor Games West, which was held up in San Francisco at the Coast Guard station in the city there. I think it was normally in June. So that's not happening anymore. And so what we will hopefully grow the Courage Weekend into is a place where, that Wounded Warrior Games, Invictus level games athlete is coming to mentor. And then everyone that it doesn't get to go to the Wounded Warrior Warrior Games or Invictus or those more elite events, they have something that they can kind of look forward to that's on the calendar, and hopefully we'll stay in October, a little bit before Veterans Day. This is important to me. There's a little bit of a gap in the calendar now that we don't have the Valor Games West. So hopefully we can kind of build this into that weekend where the competitive set, as well as the new athletes or the folks making a comeback or whatever, can feel welcome. This is the special magic of things that we do at Angel City Sports, which is sort of allowing the elites to be the mentors, right, and the teachers for the newer athletes. And so we want to be the best place in the country for new athletes to get started in their journey. And so that applies to Courage Weekend as well. And then, the other opportunity for, any of your listeners is to keep the Angel City Games on their calendar, which is in June. And so we just held, been a struggle to come back from COVID. I mean, let me tell you, it was like so hard to even get facilities. Like people don't want to travel. Like it's a tricky world out there, but we've been sort of rebuilding since the pandemic. And last year we were at USC, which is, obviously an incredible campus, beautiful facilities. And they really, really welcomed us with open arms. And, at the games we had 16 adaptive sports, and I want to say we had 6 competitive sports. I might be off by a sport or two, but what we will grow that into is essentially a Paralympic Games, all summer, 22 sports for everyone, all ages, all abilities. You could be new, you could be experienced, you could be a toddler, you could be elderly, kind of everybody in together. And if we can I'd like to get to all summer 22 Paralympic sports by 2028. And so I kind of say Paralympics for all. And so that's really exciting as we kind of rebuild that, the games, kind of get our energy back and our momentum back from kind of pre-pandemic. So that's another place where, the entire veteran and first responder community is absolutely welcome to join and be a part of it. And we've had some elite, kind of athletes coming out of the Warrior Games and Invictus system that have participated with us, and hopefully we'll continue to do so. So we really got sort of these 2 now kind of events that are wide open for this community to participate in, whether they want to compete or learn or just be surrounded by a loving community. So, I kind of got that 2 big events, different parts of the year. And then that ongoing programming that we mentioned earlier. And so we're really excited to serve this community. Again, it's sort of in my heart, it's in my DNA, having had so many people in my family serve. And, we're excited to kind of, keep going. We'll keep growing programming that we're able to offer here in Southern Cal.
Outstanding. Hey, I appreciate it. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, go ahead and throw that out there again.
Yeah, just email is real easy. Clayton at Clayton at angelcitysports.org. You can message me on Instagram, just Clayton.Frech, Frech. Reach out to Angel City Sports on social media. Mackenzie Soldan, who's a 2-time champion in marketing operations, super responsive, knows this community like the back of her hand. We're here, and would be honored to have any of your listeners or their community join us.
Nice. Hey, I'm sorry I mispronounced your name, Frech. I didn't know how to, Frech, but Frech.
Everyone
oh
Aaron,
man. Wow.
Aaron, at least you didn't add an N, which everybody does. They just.
Hey, my mind was wanting to do it, but I kept resisting that N. So I'm telling it's a trick. That's a cool name actually. So just keep that up. That's good to go.
It is like a visual trick, right?
Yeah. Hey, and thanks for being on my show. And you know what? If you want, you can come on my show anytime. We'll talk about some of these cool situations that you got going on, events that you have coming up. Let's talk about it. Feel free to throw me, and you threw me the flyer. So that flyer I'll be putting out in my networks and stuff like that. So we'll see if we can't encourage a couple guys to go to that and participate and maybe even get down there and set up a booth or something. So that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah,
so.
let me know. And anyone listening that has a nonprofit that's offering services to this community, just reach out. We'd be honored to give you space in the Valor Village and be a part of it. Just help us get the word out.
Great stuff. Hey, this is Aaron Siebert. This is Combat Vet Vision. This is where, we really get to kind of focus on some important just aspects of the lives of combat veterans and how that looks and what it might feel like, and the sponsors, supporters, volunteers, all that good stuff. But until next time, hey, this is Aaron Siebert signing off. Strength and honor. Thank you very much.
The only way, like the sun bidding goodbye. The only way, and we need nothing more.